What's up, guys? Welcome to Dirt Soldiers MX and the Motocross Training Academy. I want to show you something here on last week's race. The final lap of Heat 2, and it was the battle between Dungy and Brighton. On the last lap, they go into this left-hand corner and hit this double jump, and there's something that happened. If you remember in the race, Brighton almost endos. But there's something else that happens here, and it ends up making this a good breakdown. I can give you some help on some jumping techniques and break this down for you and show you here. Let's watch it at speed once and see if you notice the other thing that happens. Here we go. Let's watch it. Watch both these guys. Let's watch it one more time. Keep an eye on Dungy. I don't know if you caught that, but there's a kicker in this jump. Let's slow it down. And Dungy almost endos himself. Here we go. We're going to slow it down pretty good here. And what I want to show you here is the difference between why Dungy saves it and Brighton almost endos. Here's the difference. Here's difference number one. And as a beginner rider, and if you're practicing jumping, there's three things that affect what the bike does in the air, the front of the bike does. Well, one's going to be the face of the jump, so there's really four. Okay, this thing actually has a kicker, you can tell, as I'll show you here. But the other thing that affects what it does is you're always going to get compression and rebound. This is in your suspension. You're off the face of a jump. It's just a matter of the angle of the jump. Some are longer, some are shorter, but you're always going to get compression. You're always going to get rebound. Your body movements, center of balance. This is center of balance. Watch the Dirt Soldiers MX videos for center of balance. You have center of balance, your starting point, and your movements in the center of balance. And then you have the throttle also affects it. I'll touch on the throttle right now real quick. Real simple on the throttle. If you coming off the jump, you don't want to be choppy on your throttle. When you go off the face of a jump, for a beginner rider, you're better off to go right off that jump with a smooth, steady throttle, okay? Whatever throttle you need to clear that jump. Now, if you're practicing, like say on a tabletop, and you're trying to practice what I'm going to show you here, you know, and you're not really just trying to clear the jump, you're just trying to get this body movements down, you're going to be lighter on the gas. So it's not so crucial to be on the gas hard. But the thing is, if you're off the gas, when you leave the face of the jump, you leave off the gas right at the very end, or if you use your speed, you have a lot of speed coming through here, and then you leave off the throttle back here, your front end's always going to drop. So remember that. On the throttle, you're going to be, you know, on the throttle, you're going to be, depending on your body position, while on the throttle, depending where you move on the bike in compression and rebounds, what the front's going to do. But off the throttle, the front's always going to drop. So you're going to have to really move with what I'm about to show you here to compensate for that front dropping. But let's look at it. And with that in mind, here goes Dungy. Now watch Dungy. Let's slow it down here and watch him. Let's bring it back and bring him through. Okay, right here. You can see right here he gets a kick, okay? All right, right there, boom. But right there is full compression. See how compressed? Well, let me take it back a second. One hair back here. See how compressed the suspension is right there? Look at that fender almost touching that wheel. What's going to happen is when he leaves the face of this jump, that's going to rebound. But he has a little kick also. But you can see what he does is he saves it. See right there. Boom. Then he goes back to the center of balance and gets ready for his landing. Now here's Brighton. Boom. He gets the same kick, but he endos. See it right there? Here's the difference, guys. Okay, we're always going to get compression and rebound. But the difference between these two guys is why Dungy was able to save it so much easier was he was standing. When he went off the face of the jump, he was in the standing center of balance. Dungy was standing, Brighton was seated, which is a seat bounce and what you can do. But here's the difference. Seat bounces are hard to save. When you're in the standing center of balance, you're able to very quickly. I mean, imagine how quick this happens from that takeoff to right there where that happens. I mean, we're slowing this down. This happens very quickly. But what you can do in the standing, now watch. See Dungy standing? See how he's standing in the center of balance? When we bring Brighton up, he's seated as he goes off. See, now what Dungy does is when he's in the air, now it kicks, okay? It allows him, just because he's standing, to move quickly, crouch down, and go back towards the back of the bike. If he was to stay more right here, if he would have stayed right here in the center, which a lot of amateurs do, they freeze off the face of a jump. It's the worst thing you can do. He would have got that endo too. He probably would have endoed and rectified it because his body weight wouldn't have now been too much forward. See how, look at that butt, the whole way back by that fender. But what allowed him to do that so quickly and save that was he was in the standing attack position and he could crouch down and go back real quick, all right? And that saved him. You can see as it saved him. He knew as soon as he saved it, he was good. He just come back to the center of balance and prepared for his landing. Now Brighton comes through. Boom, he's seated. He gets the kick also. But the problem is he's not standing, okay? He's seated, and it's a lot harder seated to try. Believe me, it might not sound like it. It's so much easier to be in your standing center of balance, crouch down and go back, than it is to be seated and try to slide back there. The most you can do is use your upper body from your waist up to your head and put it back towards the back of the bike. And as you can see, that's what Brighton does really, really hard. Look how his upper body, his arms are stretched completely out. He's trying to save it, but it's just not enough. See how you've seen how far Dungy was back there. That's how much he actually needed to save that. Right here, watch Dungy. Boom, look how far back he is. His butt's back by the fender. That's how much you needed to be back, how much weight you needed towards the back. Brighton, that froze up on me there. There we go. Look how far back his upper body is trying to save it. But it just ain't enough. And then, being that he was seated, it also kicks more. And that's where he gets that endo right there, guys. That's what happens. That's the difference between these two guys. Listen, if you're a beginner rider and you want to learn to jump better, just remember these things. You're always going to get compression and rebound. It's how you move into that compression and rebound. You need to move. You're better off to practice on a small little jump, tabletop. Take it slow, and you're always going to have to move somewhat from the center of balance into that rebound, right? Just like Dungy does here. Now, you're usually not, if you come off the face of the jump, like I said, on the throttle, and you get a good clean drive off there, everything, you're working with a nice jump with a smooth takeoff, you're always going to have to go back into the rebound a little bit, but not to the extent you see Dungy does here. But the rebound's coming, and you got to move into that a little bit, because with the rebound, if you keep your body weight forward, it's going to drop your front end. So you have to go back a little bit. It's just not going to be that much. Now, in the same regards, if you're practicing and you go off the face of the jump and you choppy on the throttle, you leave off the throttle as soon as you come off the face of the jump, you're going to have to go way back like Dungy does here, guaranteed. So when you're practicing this and you can out practice this, always go off the face of a jump in the standing attack position, center of balance. You're going to get compression. You'll feel that in your legs, just like you seen right here. Boom, right there, full compression. When it leaves the jump, you're going to get rebound, okay? So you always want to be in the standing attack position. You're going to have to row back into that rebound a little bit if you get a good drive off there, and that's going to determine what the front does. Another mistake that can happen is if you're hard on the throttle off the face and you have this compression, when it rebounds, if you're too far back, like Dungy was in the air, if you're back towards the back, now you're hard on the throttle, all that power is going to be going to the back wheel, plus your weight's going to be too far back, and that's where you'll get where the front end goes high, and you see guys do that a lot, all right? So that's it, guys. I hope that helps, and hope that you can see that, and you can get out there, practice your jumping, and, you'd be surprised if you practice this off a little tabletop or a small jump. Take it slow, how quick this will come to you, and how quick you'll see how this works, and how you move into this compression and then more into the rebound. And boy, you'll build confidence really quick, be able to take these jumps and move up real fast and start doing bigger jumps. Remember, it's always in the compression, the rebound, the throttle, and you want to be in the standing center of balance. You can seat bounce, but if you're a beginner rider and you're practicing this, don't worry about that yet. Get this down first and then move on to that. All right, talk to you guys soon.